Welcome to my new podcast series called Independence for Life, where we will be diving into management, instruction, and guidance of your lifestyle as you continue your journey through life and into retirement and older age. Hi, my name is Nancy Brenicardi. I am an integrative nutrition health coach, nutritionist, certified caregiver, and fitness professional / instructor. I am the creator of Independence for Life. I am preparing upcoming podcasts to help guide you toward the journey of independence for life. I'm going to give you a brief description of what it means to be an integrative nutrition health coach. I am a health and wellness coach that helps my clients achieve their health goals by 1. Focusing on bio-individuality, which means everyone has a unique dietary, lifestyle, emotional, and physical need. Also by promoting holistic well-being, by emphasizing the interconnectedness of the mind, body, and spirit. I also guide clients to make lifestyle changes and understand the impact of behavior on their overall well-being. I use coaching and nutrition expertise and techniques and dietary theories to set and achieve goals. And lastly, I emphasize self-care by encouraging the practice of self-care and self-empowerment. I'm going to give a brief description of what it means for me as a fitness professional / instructor. I got started as a jazzercise instructor after I lost 50 pounds as a member, and I've decided to become an instructor because I fell in love with health and wellness after I went through my transformation. I no longer teach jazzercise, I now teach Pound Fit. I also teach Fit Blast, and I also teach a class I created myself called AIM. That's an independent me. I have certifications, education, and training, and personal experience with personal training, weight management, nutrition, aerobics instructor, and elder care. I have been teaching exercise for about 15 years. So I'm going to give you now a brief description of Independence for Life. It basically is instruction and guidance to independence with nutrition, movement, balance, agility, endurance, and activities of daily life. So today, this is an introduction / lesson 1. I'm going to be going over briefly some subtopics for today so you can get an idea of what Independence for Life is. And each of the subtopics today will become a focus topic for another podcast. And I will also give you examples of more podcasts that are to come. There's plenty of subject to talk about, so please expect tons and tons of podcasts to come your way, giving you tons of information for Independence for Life. So, now that you have a clearer picture of my qualifications, I want you to know that I also own and operate all by myself a small business called Cardinal Cleaning and Caregiving. My primary clientele are elderly people. I've been helping them for over 15 years. As a caregiver, certified caregiver, mind you, I see firsthand what happens to people as they age and are not prepared for what has happened to them in old age. Parts of life that become difficult for them are mobility, balance, strength, endurance, agility, making the right choices with nutrition and hydration, and cognitive functions. So if you like, grab a notebook and a pen. At the end of each subtopic today, I will be giving you a brief takeaway. So let's begin your journey through Independence for Life and keep in mind your why for being here today. Let's always remember that movement is joy, and exercise is a celebration of what your body can do and not a punishment of any kind for any reason for what you have done. Being healthy is not about weight loss you may experience, but about the life you gain by being a healthy weight. So why did I start Independence for Life? Well, like I said, being a certified caregiver, I see what happens firsthand to people who don't prepare for older age. So I am here to spread the word about the importance of movement, proper nutrition, and preparation for older age. I am a fitness professional and instructor, and I am here to educate people about movement and continued mobility with exercise by way of cardio, strength, endurance, agility, balance, core, neck, and back. So what is Independence for Life? It is learning how to remain independent as we age. This lesson today, plus more to come, will show you ways to manage your lifestyle. Avoiding or prolonging interdependence in retirement. What does that mean? That means being dependent on someone else. We want to avoid being dependent on others. We want to remain independent. And that also, you can look at it by saying staying home in older age versus assisted living or even a nursing home. We want to be able to enjoy our retirement, something we have waited for and worked so hard for our whole lives. And when we get there, we want to be able to enjoy it. So now is the time to begin. We want to fight the aging process. Practice makes progress. Perfection, overrated. We want to just focus on our practice. We also will be touching on the mind, body, and spirit at another time, but that ties in also for Independence for Life. You have the tools for a better life, and I'm going to show you where they are and how to manage them. We are now going to be getting into these subtopics, like I said, and the subtopics will become a focused topic for a podcast at another time. So today this is kind of brief, but I wanted you to have a brief understanding of what Independence for Life really is. So let's get into the first one, which is quality of life. So ask yourself, what does that mean to you? Well, to me, it means fighting the aging process with a healthy diet and regular exercise, also known as fuel, which is your diet, and movement, which is your exercise. Those two words, diet and exercise, you're going to hear that a lot from me because they go together and they need to be together in order to work at their best. What does your health look like now? And what will it look like in the future? So even if you have your paper and pen with you now or at another point, ask yourself these questions, write down the answer as well, and look at it. What do you need to do to have the future that you want? We want a sharp body. We want a strong body and a sharp mind. We want to feel good every day. We want to have the energy to move. So those are the things for quality of life. So your takeaway for this subtopic is we're going to get out our food journal. We're going to look at our diet. We're going to also get our exercise planner out, the calendar out, write down all the days we're going to exercise. And we're also going to include brain games. Next subtopic is never too late to start. Do you find yourself saying, well, I'm too old to start, or it's just too late to start this? That is not true. It is never too late. Right now is the perfect time to get started or to get back into it if you let it go. We want to start building your future self now. Strength training, cardio, working on our balance, strengthening our muscles and bones. So again, what type of future do you want? The takeaway from this subtopic is figure out the exercises that you like and mix it up every week with different formats. There are plenty out there. but let's make sure we incorporate cardio, strength, endurance, agility, balance, core, stretching, breathing. Next subtopic, independence in older age. As we get older, we start to have mobility issues. So that's where the exercise and nutrition are going to come into play. We also tend to fall. Our balance and strength are weakened. We may not be eating and drinking the best or enough, or maybe even too much. We could experience cognitive changes. We need to worry about our brain health, staying away from depression, having a sense of purpose and confidence as we age. Physical activity can help older people prevent chronic diseases and fall-related injuries. So I'm going to give you an example. So let's look at the purpose of physical therapy, okay? So let's say, as an example, you fall down and you break your arm. You go to the hospital, they put you in a cast, and they may even send you to rehab, where they're going to give you rehabilitation by way of physical therapy. Sometimes you have to live at rehab weeks, months. Then you finally get to go home, and physical therapy will follow you home and continue on the physical therapy until you're better. So if we can bypass all of that by starting now, remaining strong, and instead of physical therapy later on in life, let's start the exercise now and just get around all that. Of course, this is not 100% foolproof. I'm saying let's put the work in now. Let's do our best to try to get away from that scenario as best as we can. I see this firsthand with my caregiving clients, and it's not pleasant by any means. So instead of going to physical therapy because we got hurt, let's try to prevent all of that. Let's be proactive instead of reactive. Put the work in today for a better tomorrow. Some people may say, well, I'm too young to think about that part of my life. I don't think so either. You're not too young, you're not too old, it's never too late. We want to increase our independence. So your takeaway from this subtopic is, now that you have figured out what exercises you want to do, let's start doing them. Get an exercise planner, write it down in pen. Make a plan for yourself. It doesn't have to be 5 days a week, an hour every single time. Let's start simple, maybe 15 minutes. Build that up to 30 minutes, 45 minutes, 60 minutes. It doesn't have to be done all at once. You can take that 60 minutes and break it up into 15-minute increments 4 times a day. Whatever math works for you. And I will guide you in a plan at another podcast. Next subtopic is movement versus sedentary. People ask me all the time, how does Nancy have all that energy to exercise? My simple answer is, it is because I exercise that I have all of this energy. So we want to start small and work your way up to your goals. Some people will tell me, remember, I've been an instructor for 15 years. I've heard all the excuses. Some people will say, well, I'm just too tired after work, or I don't have time. All of these are excuses. So let's try not to excuse ourselves right out of the things that we really need and should be doing for ourselves, for our future selves. Okay? Movement will give you the energy that you need. It makes everything inside move around. The blood, the oxygen, your body, everything is moving. Your brain is thinking. How could it possibly not be awake? It gives you the energy back that you need to continue with the rest of your day. I'm too tired excuse will snowball right into a sedentary lifestyle, which is super unhealthy. And while you're getting all this movement, I will continue to remind you, cardio, very important, strength training, very important, balance, very important, and stretching, very important. I know I talked about endurance, agility, all the others, but these 4, if you don't have a lot of time, let's at least focus on those 4. And your takeaway for this particular subtopic is maybe you can get up a little earlier than normal, maybe getting a 15 minutes in, and if that's all the time that you have, let's use compound exercises, which means targeting multiple muscle groups and joints at once. So instead of maybe just going for a brisk walk, carry your hand weights with you. Or if you're doing a squat, have your hand weights, do some bicep curls, doing 2 things at once, maximizing the little time that you say you have. How about using part of your lunch break for movement? Keep your sneakers at your desk. How about parking far away from the entrance to the building, wherever it is that you're going? Get those extra steps in. Using the stairs versus the elevator. If you have to be on the phone, why don't you walk around? There's also exercise balls that are chairs made for desks that you could sit on, as opposed to a stationary chair. These little small changes will add up to a mountain before you know it. You could also put a reminder on your phone to alert you when you need to do these things. Start to make exercise a habit and a priority. You are the priority. Invest in yourself. Next subtopic is, just what I was ending with the other one. Exercise is a priority, then you're going to make it a permanent part of your life. So I'm going to go over some bullet points here because everything I'm going to tell you is your takeaway on how to make exercise a priority and a permanent part of your life. This is just a brief description of what's to come in a focused podcast at another time. Making exercise a priority and then making it permanent, mark it on your calendar in pen. That's what I do. I write it down. If I see it, I'm going to do it. Or if you don't like the old school way with paper and pen, put a reminder in your phone. Make it a routine. And once something is a routine, it's going to become a habit. You're going to start to feel better. You're going to start to become addicted to it. How about a sticky note? Put it somewhere where you will see it. In your bathroom on the mirror. So when you wake up in the morning, oh, that's right, today I'm going to exercise. But don't excuse your way out of that exercise. You put that sticky note there for a reason. Choose different exercises so it's not boring. So if you get to exercise, let's say 3 times during this week, maybe pick 3 different things. Switch it up. Try new things. You never know unless you try. And let's get into the mindset that exercise is a lifetime ritual. Investing in yourself. Make it a priority, and let's please skip the excuses. Get out of your own way. Next subtopic is exercise for looks. Nope, I said that wrong. Exercise for life, not for looks. That's my slogan. You'll never ever hear me say, oh, guess what? We have to exercise now because bathing suit season is around the corner. That is not sustainable. It may be a crutch of an exercise, but crutches aren't forever. Exercise is a tool. So let's use your tools to your advantage. So they're your tools for your advantage. And if you can exercise, whether it be modified or not modified, on the floor, in a chair, standing, I don't care what it is, you should do it. If you have the ability to exercise, you should do it. Honor thy body. Our future self is important. This is a lifetime commitment. And commitment is key. Your takeaway for this subtopic is take care of your body and it'll help you through the aging process. Build muscle and bones through exercise and good nutrition. Weight-bearing exercises build bones when we're younger, and it helps to protect against bone loss when we're older. So let's remember to get our strength training in and our cardio in. And if you are doing strength training, use different size weights. So maybe have a 3 and a 5 near you, because you never know. You may want to switch it up. You may want to see how your strength is building, and work your way up from a 3 to a 4 to a 5 to a 6. So if you are going to be doing those increments, just make sure they stay close together, as opposed to going from a 5 and having a 25. Definitely injury is going to happen. So let's keep everything together. Your next subtopic is food matters too. So, like I told you earlier, the two words that are going to always be together, nutrition and movement. So we want to change your thinking about what your body needs and what food does to it. So at another podcast topic, we will get into the food categories. We will also talk about what food does to you as opposed to what it does for you. Those are two big differences, what it does for you and what it's doing to you. Please also keep in mind that each person is different, so what may work for you may not work for someone else. And if we can look at food as a fuel, and also that it has a great purpose. Okay, so fuel, if you look up what fuel means, it doesn't mean junk food. It doesn't mean junk. Fuel that does not equal junk. Okay, so food is fuel and it has a great purpose. You want to feel better? Well, here's one big way to start. Look at your eating habits. Like I told you earlier in a subtopic, journal your food. If you write it down, you're going to see firsthand what's happening. Most people think they're eating healthy enough, or that they're eating enough, or that they're eating too much. Or people have a certain way that they look at it and how they think about it. And I understand that because I do it too. We're all human. But if you write it down and you actually look at what's happening, you'll get a true picture of what you're doing or not doing. Another subtopic we will also look at are the hidden ingredients in foods. Let's give you an example, would be natural flavors. Okay, so what does that mean? That's not regulated. That's not an official term. That's something that they made up because they don't want you to know what they're hiding. Or maybe they're giving you ingredients in there that could be damaging to you. Okay, so these are things that we definitely will be talking about. How about the 80-20 rule? Right? That rule says for health, it's 80% of what you eat and 20% of movement. So we'll dive into that too. As crazy as that sounds, I think it should be 50-50, but we'll get into that at another time. Let's think about food as a whole food, right? A whole apple, that's a whole food. A Twinkie, that's a junk food. That's not whole by any means at all. So in that scenario, if it doesn't have a seed, because you know your apples have seeds, either stay away from it or have it in moderation. So apples have seeds, blueberries have seeds, cucumbers have seeds, cows have seeds, pigs have seeds. So anything that can reproduce itself, that's what I mean. Though those are your whole foods. How about those fad diets? Fad diets are a fad. They tell you right in the description, it's a fad diet. Definitely short-lived, and it's just a Band-Aid. We need to stop tricking our body in order to lose weight. It's not sustainable. We are definitely more interested in treating diseases rather than nurturing health. And how can I tell you about the fad diet's not sustainable? Because I've done it myself multiple times. That will be a subject for another time because that's a big one. The takeaway for this topic is we need to take a deep dive into your kitchen and really look at what you're consuming. Read the packages. If you have nothing but packages, where's your Whole Foods? Your Whole Foods are key. How about look at the places you stop during the day, maybe for lunch, right? Grabbing a quick snack, grabbing a quick this, a quick that. Quick is not good. How about old school brown bagging it? If you don't know what that means, pack your lunch, pack your meals for the day, put it in a cooler, take it with you. I've been doing that since 2008. I still do that to this day. I am prepared for my day. I have my good choices with me, and I'm not going to be swayed by any junk food out there. I have everything I need, and it keeps me on the straight and narrow. Next subtopic is brain healthy foods and exercises. This whole subsection is a takeaway. I'm going to be reading to you some food choices for certain things, and this is not a full and complete list because it would be really long. So I'm just going to give you some examples of things to choose if we want to nourish your brain by way of food. So we're looking at foods high in protein because your brain is mostly protein and then also water. So examples to nourish the brain: nuts and seeds, salmon, beans, blueberries, dark leafy greens, lean red meat, avocados, tomatoes, red cabbage, dark chocolate, quinoa. Foods high in omega fatty acids: you have salmon, mackerel, tuna, flaxseed, chia seed, walnuts. Fiber-rich foods to slow the release of sugar: you have walnuts, broccoli, macadamia nuts, radishes, eggplant, apples, blueberries, blackberries, flaxseed, peas, zucchini, bell peppers, asparagus, cauliflower, collard greens, avocado, almonds, chia seeds, squash, so on and so forth. That's a big list. Foods rich in antioxidants to protect against free radicals: there are blueberries, dark chocolate, artichokes, raspberries, spinach, beans, beets, apples, grapes, kale, pecan, broccoli, oranges, cherries, red cabbage, cranberries, green tea, nuts, plums, sweet potato, tomato, so on and so on. Food to support normal brain functions: you have your fatty fishes, berries, leafy greens, nuts and seeds. Food high in iron to help blood cells carry oxygen: there's red meat, spinach, tofu, fortified breakfast cereals, just watch your sugars on that one, lentils, oysters, poultry, eggs, nuts, legumes, beans, broccoli, seeds, dark chocolate, leafy vegetables, dried fruit, fish, etc. Feeding your brain complex carbs to provide energy and exercise that stimulate brain function. So there's puzzles, you could perhaps learn a new language, socializing will definitely help, and physical activity. Time is precious, so if you do have any downtime, let's use that to your advantage. So instead of watching TV, let's choose a brain healthy activity, exercise, any type of a brain game. You can look at your phone. We'll tell you how much time you spend on social media. Maybe we can cut that time in half and use the other half for brain health. Getting outside is wonderful, obviously, weather permitting. Getting that fresh air, getting that exercise. If the weather is not great and you want to exercise, I'm sure there's a gym nearby. Jump on the treadmill for a nice long walk, but let's just leave the phone in the locker. Let's disconnect a little bit if we can. Let's make that a priority. I need to make that a podcast. Disconnecting. The last subtopic for today is medication versus holistic. Looking at the cost of medical versus the cost of whole foods. Being proactive now will help with prevention later. So proactive now and not being reactive, right? We want to try to be proactive. So if you're on medication now, maybe you can speak to your provider and see if there's a way to get off the medication. And my experience with doctors my whole life has been they just want to throw medication at the problems and never ever look any farther. And I'm going to get into my story on this for another podcast because it is long, and I went through something for 30 years, and that's not an exaggeration. And I also went through something recently too where I had to see a doctor, And I'm going to let you know all about that and how I feel about that. And I'm just going to leave it there for right now. So we want to talk to our provider. If that person has put you on medications, be your own advocate and say, okay, why do I have to take this? Or how can I get off this? May not always be possible. I'm not saying everything here is a blanket statement. It's not that. Everything is not black and white. But I'm just saying to you, if you feel like you want to, speak up for yourself, because I try to speak up for myself year after year and doctor after doctor. And it wasn't until I found the right guy, and that's when I got healed. So, speak up for yourself. Ask why or how. Medication versus holistic. So, look, like we said earlier, look at your diet, the fine-tooth comb, like really look at the packages. We don't really want to buy everything in the package. So let's try not to do that, because even if you're buying a box of rice, have you looked at the ingredients? Like, what's the first ingredient? Wheat. I am gluten-free for, 11 years. I think everybody should be gluten-free, and that's another podcast coming up. People don't realize what it's doing to them. So your first ingredient on a rice package, when rice is gluten-free, is wheat. Okay, why are they doing that? We will dive into that also. Look at any other food you have in your house, any garbage foods, junk foods, any whole foods. Look at the ratio of both of them. Do I have more of this and less of that? Eat the rainbow. You've heard that expression. Eat the rainbow of vegetables. It'll make you feel good. So this is going to conclude lesson 1, but I'm going to now give you a quick example of what's to come in the future for future lessons besides everything we spoke about today. There's so much to talk about, guys, so much with movement and nutrition. I just want to give you everything I possibly can. So examples of some upcoming lessons, which would be a better tomorrow. That's what we're working toward. We said food matters too. We talked about that. I'm going to dive deeply into exercise and what you can do. Maybe if you got injuries, disabilities. Maybe if you're inactive, how can we get you active? We'll dive into like sugar. We'll talk about gluten, more about the brain healthy foods, more about being proactive and preventative, your balance and movement. Balance, extremely important. Brain healthy exercises. We'll get into high fructose corn syrup. We'll talk about fast foods, all the oils. You hear all that, all the controversy on all the oils. Well, what's the right oil to cook with or eat? How about caffeine? That's huge. So lots and lots and lots more to come. My YouTube handle is Independence for Life. So that's Independence, the number 4, Life. Independence for Life. You can also email me at, I'll spell this out, IND, the number 4, LIFELLC@gmail.com. So look for me coming up with more and more podcasts under Independence for Life. Reach out if you have any questions. Thank you for being here today. And remember why you want to continue to listen to Independence for Life. Take care of yourself.